All right, and we are live on the Just Joe King podcast. I am one half of the podcast King.
And I'm Joe.
Hey man, first of all, it's good to see you, brother. It's
Good seeing
been
you.
a pretty good little minute since me and you last time touched base. We saw each other in public when we went out with a mutual friend of ours to go catch this spot called Mission Barbecue, which has some bomb ass barbecue. If you,
Yes.
yes, hey, if people have an opportunity to go and catch one, not only is the food good, but the mission or the service behind the food as well. To me, it's like second to none. Almost rival Chick-fil-A as far as the excellence of the service,
Ooh.
but goes a step up in that it has a mission that's dear and near to my heart. And that is, just showing the respect and giving back to not only the men and women of service, but the firefighters and police officers as well. So
Yeah.
just want to give a shout out to good old Mission Barbecue.
Yeah, they're good food, man. I'm so glad they opened one up in our neighborhood. So awesome.
Absolutely. Hey, speaking of barbecue, we just recently went through the 4th of July, what we
hmm
celebrate as our nation's Independence Day. How was that for y'all?
It was pretty good. We went downtown. We watched some fireworks with the kids. It was really nice. Lots of people on blankets in the fields. We had like this area. They had this big event at the fairgrounds downtown. So we just got a blanket and we just sat around on some of the hills. And fireworks were awesome. The kids loved them. That's all that matters.
Hey, exactly, man, exactly. And it was over a weekend
Mhm.
where I was at. I'm in Kansas right now, staying with some really good friends of ours. They were gracious enough to host me and my daughter for the week, and we had a fireworks show at their place. And let me tell you, it was a blast, man. We had a couple of people over. The neighbors were also popping off some stuff too, and they stayed a nice little cul-de-sac area. So there were we didn't have to go too far to have our own fireworks show, as well as there were people blasting them everywhere around. So it was nice to kind of see that unity, if you will, from
Mhm.
people around as we were going out throughout the day. There were a lot of, everybody just seemed to be in a good mood. I didn't see any grumpy old Karens walking around with, mean mugs on their face. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
good.
that's
That
good.
was good for me, man. That was definitely good for me. Let's do a quick little check-in since we haven't done one on our show in a while. How you doing mentally, man? How's everything been since the last time me and you talked or linked up in person?
I'm doing pretty good. Been a little dealing with a little bit of anxiety, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of stress here and there. I mean, normal stress, so it's nothing crazy. But I've noticed anxiety getting the best of me. We were supposed to do. It's funny actually because we're going back to Fourth of July. We were supposed to go to a reenactment at Gettysburg, and I was really hyped for it. I was really looking forward to it to watch this reenactment with my family. And the morning of, I started having this killer anxiety,
Mm.
and I just couldn't bring myself to go. I spent most of the day in bed just trying to get over the fact that I ruined the day, or I felt like I ruined the day for my family. And so my wife kind of redirected my thoughts and got some barbecue, like some like hamburgers with like different seasonings, and just said, "Hey, let's grill." And so we grilled, and then after that, she was like, "Take the girls out to go watch the fireworks." And so that's what we did. So we kind of made up for the bad morning that I had, like the early part of the day that I had with the anxiety and everything. But yeah, it actually canceled half my day. It was crazy.
Talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
What? Because you said that you feel like it ruined everybody else's day. I
Yeah.
mean, your family and everybody real supportive of
Mhm.
you, and with having plans change. Do How do I ask this question? Do you believe that like not the anxiety, but the part where you feel like it like they were let down? Do you think that was more on your end
Yeah.
versus them, feeling let
Yeah.
down?
Yeah,
Got
it
you.
was more of a how I felt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my wife even said, "Is now you're gonna mope, you're gonna feel bad because you think you ruined the day or whatever." She literally narrated exactly how I was feeling internally. She knows me well enough to know that I was doing it to myself. And in the moment, I'm just like, I'm like, but I put my sweater on, had my hood on, laid in bed, and just couldn't function like just for like a few like half the day. And if she didn't like redirect my thoughts, I probably would have stayed there for the whole day, if not for two. It just so happens it was a day off, so it just worked out that I wasn't like trying. I wasn't missing a day of work or anything like that. But yeah, the anxiety got the best of me, and then the anxiety turned to like a minor kind of depression almost.
Mm.
So
Okay. You
yeah.
know, I'll tell you what, man. I've been fortunate enough to talk with a lot of people over the last couple of weeks. And a common thread for most of the people that I know personally, when they're dealing with anxiety, is having a good support system immediately around them that can either help them navigate what it is that they're, going through without and I don't know how to properly say this, so this is me talking without that feeling of the extra weight of other things that can make that anxiety or the depression or
Hmm.
whatever it is that you're feeling and going through worse, because not only are you dealing with, what you're going through, but the regular, pressures of just life, you know what I'm saying, and things like that.
So consider your normal everyday thing a balancing act, right? Anxiety is that feeling like you're about to fall over, but you're not.
Mm,
It's like somebody's tipping that balance and you feel like you're going to fall.
mhm.
That's what anxiety feels like. You know what I mean? That's what anxiety represents. It represents that feeling that you could fall, you're going to fall, or I mean you could fall, not you're going to fall, but in your head it's I'm going to fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have to be reminded that you could fall. It's not that you're going to, it's you could if you let yourself.
Mhm.
And we don't always have the keys to that car. That's why a support system helps, because it's like, hold on, look, 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 I got you. I got you. You're not going to fall. Okay. And that's when that feeling of ease comes over and the anxiety is lessened. It doesn't necessarily go away, but it's lessened. Without that support structure, that anxiety is just going to fucking launch you and you're just going to flip back and you're going to fall. You're going to feel all of it. That's what we do to ourselves. Like
Mhm.
without any support, we can just completely fall back. But yeah, support system really, it takes the edge off. It reminds you that it's not just about you, because so much of this mental health stuff can be self-centered. It's
Yes.
not we're not doing that on purpose. It's just we can't see past our own nonsense at the moment. You know what I mean? So it does become a self-centered thing. And when you're reminded that all it's not just all in your head too, because it's a lot of the things you're feeling all this energy from around you. You know what I mean? So it's good to have that support system. They pull you out of your head and out of being stuck in this thing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. Well, hey, I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you talked about it. I was telling somebody earlier today that I had met with that, having like regular check-ins with people, to me, it matters. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And it's not just paying lip service. Like when I ask people randomly at stores, "How you doing?" I
Yeah.
if they want to sit there and talk for 20 minutes, I will gladly listen to them. But that's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And that's
Uh,
awesome. That's awesome, man.
good.
How have you been?
Oh man, it's been a really interesting last couple of weeks. Really, just personally, just trying to have good time management skills to make everything that I've got planned work out. Haven't necessarily had any real downs or dips and things lately. It's been a really good last 2 weeks. This past week in particular, I'm on vacation. I am on
Yeah.
vacation with my daughter. I am in the central part of the U.S. in Kansas right now,
Mhm.
and very fortunate enough to be hanging out with some really good friends that I've known since we got to Kansas, so 2010 ish. They were gracious enough to host us in their house and allow me to use their equipment so that we can get the recording and everything that we have done. I'm actually bringing the guy on after here. This is a shameless plug. I'm going to do chats with dads on my YouTube channel, The Actual King Smith, and my personal Facebook page at 9 p.m. Eastern. But the guy's going to be he's a brand new dad. His kid's only 3 months old, and they were basically really good friends and family to us and to our daughter. And I asked him if he would be willing to come on and chat. So he is. So, I mean, hey, man, I can't, you know, things are going good. I don't really have anything that has been stressing me out, or
Good.
anything like that. So, knock on wood, which is right in front of me, actually. This is dope. Knock on wood, man. Everything's been pretty good. I've been able to
Good.
manage things
Good.
pretty pretty normal.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, man, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So, have you been keeping up with the news about the Olympics and Miss Sha'carri Richardson?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Uh, so, for the people that may not know or that may not have heard, Sha'carri Richardson is a U.S. runner, sprinter. She qualified for the Tokyo Olympics and just recently got disqualified as they do different testing for substances and things like that. And what she came out with after the fact was she talked about her suspension personally and that it was marijuana, which in the States is legal. All right. But in regards to Olympic international competition, it's on a list of prohibited substances during competition. All right. Now, excuse me, there were people in an uproar, like the general U.S. public, if you will, because of her story, right? Not only is she fast, but she's different. She's not the standard person that shows up on the track. She's got the colorful hair, the long nails, she definitely stands out. So when you know, take a look at who she is as a person and look at her accomplishments, she had a lot of people rooting for her. And then you hear the news of her being banned. And when she talked about and brought up the reason why, she didn't make any excuses for herself, but the general public is in an uproar.
Mhm.
She came out and admitted, look, I was flat out wrong. Her reasoning and what she said was she recently found out about the death of her biological mother. She didn't get too far into it, but it sounded like her and her biological mom didn't really have a good relationship. But hearing about the death of her mom from a reporter of all people, caused
Right.
her to,
Yeah.
kind of spiral or whatnot. And when she was dealing with that, she had some marijuana, and it was within that time period that was prohibited for her. So she's serving a 1 month suspension for it. Now, I just said a mouthful. Is
Mhm.
that kind of tracking what you had heard about the
Oh
story?
yeah.
Do you have anything? Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've been following it too, and I've been looking at the dialogue online and through social media like Twitter, Facebook, all those spheres. And yeah, man, the my opinion aside, people are really, really upset. And for good reason. I mean, I think in 2021, most of us feel like if you bring up weed, it's like bringing up alcohol. It's like pretty much everybody does it. It's almost legal everywhere. It's one of those things where it's only a matter of time before it's legal in every state. And, you know, so it's one of those things where it's almost a non starter. Like it's just, it's such a low thing to pop hot for. So I've been I've been curious how people feel. It's been interesting to see. Um, First few days, a lot of anger, a lot of this is bullshit, a lot of agendizing the whole thing. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. And then lately, it's calmed down. It's a little bit more, a little less passion, a little more logic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm seeing people say, she's got to take responsibility. You know, everybody knows this is a rule kind of thing. So it's been interesting to see it evolve.
Yes.
To go from that knee jerk reaction, oh, this is bullshit, it's racist, lots of different things, and then to see it go from that to, oh well, let's be honest, let's think, let's take how we feel out of it, because everybody's going to feel some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm upset. I was looking forward to her winning. I remember a few days before this thing watching some videos on YouTube about her qualifier.
Yes.
And then I was like, who is this person? I was like, because they started to compare her to, I think, Jackie
Mm-hmm.
Joyner Kersee. And I was just like, we haven't had a really big name in women's running that I've known. Like somebody, because I mean, like since Jackie Joyner, nobody's really been somebody that somebody's really been talking about, or I'm just not in that. You know what I mean? Like if it's not something that's being announced on the news as this big name that's coming up in the running sphere and they're going to make waves and win the Olympics. So if that's not happening, because I'm not a runner or in that community, I don't hear about it. So to hear somebody's name like Jackie, I was like, oh, okay, so Sha'carri is going to be the next Jackie Joyner Kersee or better, hopefully. I was like, okay, cool. Let me look a little bit more about her. And I was just like, okay, I like her style first off, because I think that you look at business and everybody's always suit and tie and all kitted up and they have to look a certain kind of way. And then you got these unique business people who are like, well, I'm going to change it up. I got my tattoos. I got a little, but I'm still dressed professionally. I'm still doing what I got to do. I like that identity to something like uniformity. She's still adhering to the uniformity of the Olympics, but she had her own personal identity, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was really cool. And honestly, I would love to see some shit like that standing on the pedestal at the Tokyo Olympics. I would have loved to have seen her representing a unique aspect of American culture on the global stage. That would
Yes.
have been really cool to see. So I'm one of those people who is super just like really disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I like the top three. I thought they looked strong. They had great stats. They were gonna be they were hopefuls to win, because I think Sha'carri like broke the record.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, damn, like you're taking our star runner and you're just like, oh, you gotta. But I
Now,
mean,
oh, sorry.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
Now, there was a lot that you said in there, man, and every time you spoke more, it made me think about more. Like, for example, track and field is not something that I follow or watch often. I don't know like the athletes that are competing, and there's a new crop, every circuit or every 4 years
Yeah,
or
every
whatnot.
few years. Yeah,
When you look at the like Olympic stage, the part that's really disappointing, like the only name that I could tell you from men's and women's, because I don't follow it, that are current, is her, because of how she kind of came into the public spotlight,
yeah,
over the last couple of weeks.
yeah,
And I was rooting for her. I was rooting for her because her story and her
yeah.
background, it's like this is the, you know, American person, if you will, the
Yes,
average, the
she is.
average American
Yes,
person.
she represents the average public. I mean, let's be honest, well above average performance wise.
Correct. Yes, correct.
But from her personal life, she's an American.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who better to represent us than an average American?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to more importantly, a strong woman role model for the young girls of our country.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
let's touch on that a bit, because that was one of the things that I was going to bring up. part of what she talked about was feeling the weight of
Mm,
that. You know what
yes,
I'm saying? As a
yes,
21-year-old,
yes.
having people like look up to her and wanting her to kind of, hey, you're representative of the United freaking States on a national stage.
Global stage.
Uh-huh. Global, yeah, global
That's
stage, man.
that's heavyweight, dude.
That is
That's heavy.
heavy at her age too.
Mhm.
And unless you have how do I say this, a proper background or a proper team to really help you as you're swimming through that lane, that can
Yeah.
be daunting, man. That can
I
absolutely be daunting.
I can imagine that would break. So you got to understand too, like this person, like I can't speak for her perfectly, but most of her life has probably just focused on running and being a good athlete. You don't think about being the next face of America for running. Like Usain Bolt, he became the biggest name in running for a decade. You know what I mean? Like how much weight must that have been?
Hmm.
Did he have the support to do it? Like, I mean, obviously he maintained it for a prolonged period of time. And my God, I pray that 20 years down the road we don't hear of some corruption scandal for him because he's been such a strong name and a clean name for so long. But that's the potential she has. Even still, like, don't get me wrong, like this shit is a blip. $20 says next Olympics she comes back, she crushes it. I she's young enough to do it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, hey, man.
And
You sound like
this is
you're on a roll, but that's something that I do want to come back to.
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. It's this isn't something that's career ending. I mean, Phelps had a weed issue too, and Phelps went back and came back. You know what I mean? And crushed it again. And that's a comparison that a lot of people did online.
Hmm.
That Phelps had popped hot and he still competed, but it was a very different scenario. He wasn't in competition when it happened, so it's not the same. And I think he got in trouble for longer. Or I
And
don't.
my understanding, because when people went to try to compare the Phelps situation, I said, okay, let me do a
Yeah,
cursory search myself
yeah,
to see, if that comparison is logical. And I ended on it being illogical, because what happened in Phelps' situation was after competition, it was a picture of him smoking a bong. Didn't necessarily,
not the same thing.
he didn't get tested for it, and it came up. He could claim, who was it, George Bush, or was it Clinton? I smoked but I didn't
Both,
inhale.
both.
So when people tried to make that comparison, I ain't gonna say angry, but I got mad a
Yeah,
little bit, because I'm like, let's walk this back a bit.
yeah.
Not quite the same situation.
If it was an American institution that did it, I could understand why people might have made that assertion.
Hmm.
That it's not fair, it's not the same. But this is a global stage. This is not America with America's history. This is the global stage, and everybody has to be exactly on the same starting level playing field, so there's fairness across the board. So it's not the same thing.
Hmm.
But that being said, it's just a month. It's not going to bar her from future competition. So, like I said, I think she's going to come back in the next Olympics and she is going to absolutely crush it. I hope she just gets stronger in the next 4 years because, I mean, she's 21 years old. I don't know how long runners last, but like I said, Usain Bolt, I think he did 2 Olympics where he was like, crushing records and whatnot. So I think there's potential that we could still see Sha'carri represent us on the global stage, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, same here. I hope
Yeah,
that she has a good management or team or advisors that can create a plan
yeah,
that can help her not lose this opportunity. Because here's the thing, even at my most athletic, I've never ran as fast as she did. So it would be amazing to me, to King, to this guy, if she understands that she is in a position to have an opportunity that not a lot of people on earth or representative of their country is going to have. And there's going to be another crop right behind her chomping at the bit
Mm,
to have the chance to qualify
yeah,
and run on the Olympic stage.
yeah,
So that there is a millionth, trillionth, billionth of a chance that her or her team is going to watch this. But if I would have one message to be able to say to her, as a guy that's older, as somebody that has had opportunities and didn't necessarily make the best of those opportunities, Miss Richardson, take advantage of every opportunity that you can, if that's what your passion is, and really lean into it and do it, because you have a small window. As your body get older,
mm,
you only see 50, 40-year old, 30-year old, record breakers. That, there are those that do, come and make things work. But use this window of opportunity that you have and
yeah,
really, take it, take advantage of it, because that time's going to go by really fast. And there's another crop of people right behind you training, chomping at the bit, just to have their opportunity as well.
yeah,
So that would be my message to her.
yeah,
Um, the part that's baffling me are the people that are supportive of saying that she should not have gotten suspended and that she should have qualified. Today, right before we kind of went live, I found out she had an opportunity to compete in the women's relay team.
mm,
But the relay team came out and made a statement today. Her name wasn't on it, and I can't bring it up on the screen, so I'm just gonna read it real quick.
okay,
They came out and said all USATF, which I don't know what the TF stands for, track and field. Okay, all
yeah,
USA track and field athletes are equally aware and must adhere to the current anti-doping code, and our credibility as the national governing body would be lost if certain rules were only enforced under certain circumstances. So while our heartfelt understanding lies with Sha'carri, we must also maintain fairness for all of the athletes who attempted to realize their dreams by securing a place on the U.S. Olympic track and field team.
yeah,
So that was their statement. And I mean, man, to me, that is a fair,
yeah,
clear, concise message for their team and the people that kind of govern and have to choose who's going to represent the U.S. track and field like that. And I don't think you could have said that any better, in my opinion.
yeah. Yeah, it's a by the numbers response. It's how anybody should respond to something like this when they're representing an official body. Um, do we have to like it? No, absolutely not. We can all be mad about this. And I honestly think that's a good sign. It's a good sign because it means that you care that this person, you want to see them perform, you want to see them win, you want to see them represent our country. That's okay to be upset at this situation, but this is ultimately a situation you can't win.
Mm-hmm.
And for good reason. Last Olympics, when we heard about the Russian team being kicked out, we were just like, can't dope. You can't do shit like that. Sucks to be you. We have to have that same assertion here, or the same feeling here. It's like we don't have to be that way about it because we feel that way because it's a team that we don't want to see win. This is a woman we want to see win, so it's not like we can feel we should feel that same way. But ultimately, it's the same conclusion. It's she popped hot. When I was in the military, if I did something like that, I knew the rules. It doesn't matter how I felt. For 12 years of my life, it didn't matter how I felt. I could not do those things without facing repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
If I did those things and I got in trouble, there would be absolutely no recourse. And nobody in the country would come and say, hey, no, not him. No, that's not fair. At least she has those people in this country who, despite what happened, have that feeling for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So she has that public support that I think will keep her career alive.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And like you were saying before, I'm not really in a position to send a shout out to Miss Sha'carri, but it's one of those things where I'm like, she has the potential to continue to push forward beyond this, even with the USATF telling her she can't be on the relay. Her career is not over. Like, this is a hiccup. I mean, honestly, it's a tiny little boop in her entire career, and I hope we get to see her compete globally next time,
Mm-hmm.
because I honestly feel like if not for this, this was her moment. You know what I mean? Like, ugh. It's one of those things where I hope it doesn't haunt her for the rest of her life. I hope next time she comes back and crushes this and
Absolutely.
and sets records and is like, you know what? Yeah, I fucked up 4 years ago, but you know what? I'm here. I got gold. I broke records. You know what I mean? I represented America. And I don't care how she represents America. She's America. You know what I mean? She's part of us, you know? So when people feel the way they feel, they have to remember she's one of us. Any one of us could have done this and
Mm-hmm.
made that mistake. Like, that's the thing I hate about people. Like, they're all just like, this is bullshit. We are pious and we never fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. We all fuck up. We all do things. But the fact that she owns that and she takes responsibility for that gives my respect jumped 1,000%. Not that it matters, but seeing a person take responsibility, recognizing that they made a mistake and owning it rather than crying foul, you know what I mean? Like, I I like her even more now. She's a badass and she's human. Shocker there, she's human. You know what I mean? And she took responsibility for her shit. She's a soldier. You know what I mean? She did the right thing. She's gonna take that UCMJ's, that slap on the wrist for fucking up, and she's gonna put her boots back on and keep running. You got to respect that.
Yes, man. I had a Twitter beef. It was my first Twitter
Mm,
beef ever since I've been on Twitter, and it was somebody who, and this is so funny to me when people agree with you, right?
hmm.
They will rock with you because like you're on the same team as them,
Yeah,
you're on the same side, and this person, I don't know, friended, followed or
yeah,
whatever,
follow.
and had liked several other things that I had posted in the past. Well, when this news came out, and there were several famous athletes that were talking about their displeasure for the news when it broke out about her, I was asking questions, hoping that those same professional athletes would comment because I would ask, like, there was one guy, Damian Lillard. He's a professional basketball player, plays at the highest level in the NBA, and he wrote, "This is BS." So I wanted to ask a logical question: how is it BS? Right?
Mm,
And this person, I guess, because they follow me, saw the comment that I had wrote and was like, "How can you stand STAN?" Which I mean I had heard of people use "stan," but the way it was kind of funny to me. Was how can you be a stand on this side and agree with that decision? And I tried to have a back and forth with her, very respectful back and forth, and she said what was like about a 3 sentence blast out, and I was driving at the time, so I couldn't really read what she wrote. But I was like, all right, when I'm not driving, I'm going to get back to this. And when I tried to go look for what she wrote, it wasn't there. Went to go try to find her profile, couldn't find it. She decided to say her piece and then block me, and that made me laugh because my all of my social media is public. I don't have it private. I'm not a well-known dude, but at the same time, if we're at a bar or whatnot, like I said, you want to come up to me and strike up and have a conversation, I'll chat with you in a respectful manner, in a way that I feel and think that respect should be given to somebody kind of by default.
yeah,
So if you were to, I can disagree with you and tell you why without insulting you. I could I do that? Could I insult? Absolutely. To me, there's no energy or no reason for doing that.
yeah,
I'm not trying to get you to change your mind
yeah,
whatsoever. But if we're going to have a discussion or a conversation, then we should be able to state our disagreements, state our reasons why. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if we don't agree, that's fine. But we still should be able to shake hands and walk away mutual. But bro, people can't do that.
I don't
People
think you
can't
know
do
how
that.
Twitter works.
Hey, maybe I'm naive, man, and it is what
That's
it
not
is.
that's not what Twitter is. Twitter's not a conversation machine. Twitter is I give you my opinion, you accept it as it is, and that's it. And if you don't like it, I block you.
Yes, yes, I am learning that way. So that was my first blocking since I've been on Twitter for about 4 years now.
Yeah, and they have to like 100% of your opinions, because if they don't like one, you are a bad man and
Hmm.
blocked.
Bad man, block,
Bad
block.
man blocked. Bad man banned. That's the thing. Like it's social media in general has done that to conversation, because it's like you cannot have conversation on social media unless you're doing this verbally.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like if you're not doing it in person, it's even less, because none of that respect, none of that general decency you do towards somebody when you're in direct contact with them exists virtually. Unless you have a personal connection to those people, which is like why you do like virtual with like your work, it works out just fine because you have a relationship with them and it's professional and there's protection because you're guided by the rules and principles of your organization. But when you do these kind of things and it's my opinion has to win this whole thing, like I'm coming into this with the I gotta win scenario, like they're coming into it thinking you're immediately going to just shit on them, so they're going to shit on you first and harder,
Mm.
so you can't out shit them. And it becomes just like a bunch of monkeys throwing feces at each other, you know what I mean? Like it devolves so quickly.
Yes,
And I hate it because I know this is not us. This isn't us. This isn't America. America is so much better than that.
absolutely.
But online, everybody's garbage.
Mm.
I mean,
Everybody?
pretty much everybody's pretending to be something either more than they are, deeper than they actually are, or they're just trying to make money off of you.
Mm.
So, I mean, everybody is deep, but it loses its meaning when you share it with the world.
Hmm.
Sure, the person receiving it is like, oh, that's deep. But it's not deep because it's public.
Okay.
It's deep because it's private. Something deep and meaningful should be shared with one person.
Yeah.
If it inspires others, yeah, you're going to want to share it with others. But it loses so much of its meaning outside of that personal, private enclosure.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a flower in a cup. You know what I mean? Like it's beautiful. But when you open it up, it loses all of that mystique,
Hmm.
like, and that's not necessarily 100% true. Okay, like I'm by far nobody in the world. I'm a speck, and that's okay. I recognize my place in the world, but I recognize social media for what it is. It takes so much of the humanity out of being human,
Yeah.
and it makes us all just like a bunch of monkeys throwing feces at each other. And that sucks, man, because social media can be used so well. But the one thing, and honestly, I feel like it's mostly America. I don't know that the rest of the world really uses social media as poorly as we do. We take anything and go overboard. Freedom of speech, overboard. Freedom of religion, overboard. Freedom to gather, overboard. You know what I mean? Like anything you allow Americans to do, we overdo. It's just what America does.
I agree with that.
It's just what America does. Like that is our national pastime, to just abuse every God-given right. You know what I mean? Like we are going to push the envelope. That is what we do. And so I think we've really set a bad precedent for social. Like
Hmm.
we've really just abused it and then are like, well, why am I getting banned from this platform? Because you're a fucking dick, man. Stop. Sure, you can say whatever you want all the time, every time, but eventually somebody's going to say, I mean, we have this freedom to do it and we don't want to take it away from people, but these fucking people don't stop.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And there's people on the other side of the fucking thing managing everything. Like, I mean, 10 years is 10 years long enough that we can just like shut them down, pause them, mute them, block them, something. And it's only a matter of time before our freedom of speech gets renegotiated.
Ooh, you think so?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's only a matter of time before they start defining what your left and right limits of free speech is. And I
Oh man, I don't want to be around for that day.
and I think social media is going to be the catalyst.
I
I
do not want to be around for that moment in history.
uh, I mean,
Because
at some point, digital our digital growth has exploded in the last 20 years, less than that. It's just exploded. We've evolved so much digitally that we've biologically not been able to catch up. Like we're causing issues for ourselves because we're
mhm.
trying to mentally sustain, 42 hours a week in front of a computer getting all this fucking bombardment, and then we're doing it in our personal time. We're on the toilet, on our phone, you know what I mean? Like there's going to have to be some kind of control over this growth before it expands beyond control because it's already uncontrollable.
Yeah. Ooh,
But
think about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Think about what?
Think about this. I could get in trouble if
Hmm.
I said something negatively about a political person from a different country, and I land in their country. I could get in trouble, get hemmed up in jail, or worse,
You can
just
you
for
can die.
speaking.
Yeah,
Yes, that's why I said or worse. I didn't. Hey, I'm glad you said it, but yeah. See,
Americans
Joe's.
don't think about that.
Yes, they don't think because they're like, oh man, I'm from a country free speech. I can say what I want, and do not talk about so and so, and then go into so and so's country or area and see. Try that and see how it works out for you.
But
It
see,
won't
but
end
see,
well.
free speech rule number one. It's technically illegal to burn or desecrate our flag. Technically illegal. And
Hmm.
yet people in this country do it. And I'm saying that's your God given right to do what you want. People in this country do it. If our country enforced that, people would lose their minds.
Hmm.
But it's a rule.
Yes.
You go to another country, you even look at their what was that Malaysia?
Hmm.
That one dude in the 90s stole their flag. He got flogged. He got caned, bro. Caned. Like talk about some old school shit. There are countries where you will outright die if you do something stupid like that. Like beyond the level of what you're allowed to do. And in
Yes.
this country, we're allowed to do that, and we still go beyond. I mean, some something's got to give at some point. It's I don't know, man. It's people, dude. We're Americans, and that's the one thing I love about us the most is we are so fucking arrogant. We are
Hmm.
beyond arrogant. But I think that's what makes us unique, and it's also what makes us uh, technologically or society wise. We're the youngest country in existence, and we're still light years ahead of other people because we're just so ballsy that we'll do something just because it's never been done. You know what I mean? Like why? Because America.
Because America, that's why.
Because America. That's why. Gotta love it, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I tried to find a way, and I could have earlier to go and use our word of the week from last week, which was parlance. And parlance is a particular way of speaking words. And where I was going to come in and talk about it as when you was imitating the pretentious person and using the word pious, I was going to be like, hey, that's a good use of parlance, I think, anyway, if I understand the definition of the word right. So we're coming up on time here. Do you have a word of the week or word of the episode for me? Okay.
I do.
What you got for me?
Verisimilitude.
I graduated high school from Alabama. Or verisimilitude?
Verisimilitude, yes.
Okay. How do you spell that? I'm not looking it up, but I'm putting it up here on the screen.
Verisimilitude.
First of all, that was way too many words to be typing out, but verisimilitude. Okay. Verisimilitude is where you make a comparison of two different things where half of them are similar and the other half of them are like antonyms of each other. Verisimilitude.
No.
Damn it.
It's the appearance of being true or real.
The appearance of being true or real. Okay. Mm-hmm. The appearance of being true or real. And like I said, I've noticed that you had a theme. I was trying to update and edit it, but it doesn't look like it's working for me. There's always a theme of the word of the day for the episode. So if you don't mind, share with me why you chose verisimilitude for the word of the day.
So I'm always listening and reading and looking at just how things are. And we just recently lost, I think his name is Richard Donner, the guy who directed the original Superman. And when you're talking about verisimilitude, he made everybody think that a man could fly when he created Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously not for real, but people believed, they felt it had the appearance of reality. You know what I mean? And so he was one of the first people to do that because it was Superman. And so I saw that, and it just, the word came to me like I've seen people use the word too when describing what he did.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where I saw the word used again recently, but I knew the word, but I haven't seen it used in so long that it was refreshing when I saw somebody use it to describe Richard Donner.
Okay.
So I thought it was pretty cool. So I decided to include it this week.
Okay, verisimilitude. That will be difficult for me during our next episode to try to get in. But you know what? Challenge. I will make that happen. Well, hey, we are going to wrap up this current episode. It's not going to be as long as the previous ones. We started late. That was on me, but we got it done while I was on vacation. So that's a win in my book.
Yep.
For the people that have tuned in, you'll find us on our public Facebook page. Just type in Just Joe King Podcast. We also have our YouTube channel, which you can watch if you type in Just Joking Podcast as well. Will come up. There is another Just Joking, but don't watch him. Watch us.
I mean, if you want to watch him. But
we are on all podcasting platforms as audio as well. The audio version of this will be out the day afterwards. Those that are that are hearing this now won't care about that. As well as, I'd like to know what you guys thought about the things that we talked about in this episode. Do you agree with what the U.S. track and field and what the Olympic Committee did as a whole by barring Miss Sha'carri Richardson from racing? Do you agree or disagree? Comment down in the comments below. We would love to read your thoughts and hear what you guys have to say. And let us know if you've heard the word verisimilitude prior to today, because it might have been my first time hearing the word. Joe, Glad you came on as usual, and we'll chop it up here sometime soon. All right. Peace.